Some of the data that you summarize using PowerView in Excel 2013 will come from a very simple source. For example, you might have a list of sales by state and simply display that in a chart or perhaps within a table. It's more likely, however, that your data source will contain multiple columns, as this one does. My chart displays department sales by state, and there's a value axis as well. So I have 3 columns: department, state, and sales. In this movie, I will show you how to create multiple charts so that you can represent each of your departments or perhaps states in a separate chart in your chart control. I will use the multiples sample file, which you can find in the Chapter 12 folder of your exercise files archive. So again, I am representing this data source in a single chart, but if I want, I can create multiple charts. And to do that, I will use the controls in the PowerView Fields pane at the right edge of the program window. I'm going to drag the border between the top and bottom areas of the PowerView Fields pane so that you can see what I'm doing. Below the legend area, there are 2 areas called multiples. The first is vertical multiples, and the second is horizontal multiples. You'll see the distinction between the 2 of them in a moment. Let's say that I want to create a separate chart for each department. Then I can drag the department field from the legend area to either of the 2 multiples. In this case, let's make it vertical. Doing so creates separate charts for each of the departments. You can see that I have balance, dance, play, work, and sport represented as separate charts. If I wanted to create horizontal multiples, then I could drag department to the horizontal area, and doing so displays each of the states and each of the departments in the separate chart. And because the 5 charts won't fit on a single screen, I can use the horizontal scroll bar to move back and forth. So I see work, sport, and play. And if I go back to the other side, I see balance, dance, and play. If you want, you can also create both horizontal and vertical multiples. So if I dragged the state field from the axis area to the vertical multiples area, then I would get a separate chart for each department for each state. And I can scroll up and down to see the different states and side to side to see the various departments. Most of the time, however, I would probably stay with a single set of multiples, such as we have here. Creating multiple charts is very useful, but be aware that they do take up space within your PowerView sheets. If you're creating a dashboard, it might be useful to create multiples for a moment and then return the control to its original configuration.